Well, hello everyone. This will be actually one of the hardest spots that we'll be doing this year. And I'm preparing, I'll do it in charcoal and I'll try and do it in pastel, soft pastel, and then in oils. Okay, well, let's do it in charcoal first. And we have that dust, charcoal dust, and start our Tuesday drawing project with a portrait, which is not easy to achieve, but we'll try. Under my guidance here, we'll try and do a good job here and a good likeness. Now, before you do anything, is to get a general view or a general image of the girl, the portrait. Sorry. What I see here, I would start and do kind of a square, but of course it's not a square, it's an imaginary square. An angle will be here off the canvas, of the tablet, but you have a clearer angle there. So let's start with this. Do that square. Don't want to go straight up to the end of the canvas, the edge of the canvas. Make it a little bit smaller. And so this is the square that I'm imagining. Well, it's pretty much there, but we do it more of a square than what it is there. Now within that square, we have, let's divide it. Where's the middle of the top of the square, the angle of the square, and the top angle and the bottom angle of the square? And I think it's about here. Let's measure it. Is it there? Eyebrow to the chin. Move the chin up. It's almost there. It's a bit further up than that. So chin to the eyebrow, eyebrow to top of the head. So if I supposedly let the chin come here, so suppose I finish it with the chin here, or I decide to put the chin here. Okay, the middle has to be there. Yep, pretty much there. So these are the eyebrow line. Now she's looking to her left. Yes, to her left. So theoretically, as she's tilted to the left, the eyebrow, it's a bit further up. So her right eyebrow, it's higher than her left eyebrow. So we have a little bit of a tilt there. So if the eyebrow here, dust, brush. If her right eyebrow is here, her left eyebrow is there. Now, within that separation of eyebrow to the chin, the second logical separation will be what's the middle of eyebrow to the chin? And should be, well, it's not there exactly, but could be there depending on the person. Let's try end of the nose to the chin. It's almost there. So from the chin to the end of the nose is from the end of the nose to the eyebrow, but it's not exactly there. Let me do it even more accurately, measure it even more accurately. So it's almost there, which is not a bad start. So the nose is here, eyebrow, end of the nose to the chin, chin to the eyebrow. I can put the nose a little bit, I can put that line slightly lower. There. Now, another feature that we should put on now is where's the middle of, now we're dividing now, from the chin to the nose. What's the middle of that? It's there. And that is pretty much where the bottom lip is. Bottom lip to the nose. Oops. Bottom lip to the nose. So bottom lip, it's where the distance, the middle is from the chin to the end of the nose. So it's there. That's the bottom lip. And you have the upper lip. And almost parallel to, okay, we haven't gone there. Okay, let's go there now. Which basically, what is there is that line, which is a cheek. It's almost parallel to that line there. And comes round here, where the chin moves up a little bit. There, here you have the eyes. Another line that, two lines which align. That's funny. They're lines. So, okay, let me see what I'm talking about. This line here aligns almost perfectly with the eyebrow. So if the eyebrow's got an angle of that sort, the eyelid does have that angle there. And it goes out. You have the eyelid which moves out a little bit. Then you have the cheek which moves there. And almost a vertical line, we have the forehead. But there's not the vertical line. There's an angle to the forehead, moves a little bit more to the left. There you have it. Okay, then we have the hair here. And you have the top of, you have this eyelid, her right eyelid, as the eyebrow follows the same logic. If the eyebrow here is slightly lower, her right eyebrow is lower than the left, her left, the eyelid is lower than her right eyelid is lower than the left eyelid. So if the left eyelid is here, the right eyelid is slightly lower. And you have the eyes. Now the eye, well, you have the pupil. Well, the pupil, I wouldn't do the pupil now, it's just too early. But another thing that I've gone too quick to follow, and I should be more attentive, is that the whole eye cavity. Let's treat that as a huge triangular shape. Look at this angle here, that angle there, and this. It's almost like a triangular shape here. And all that does have a slightly darker tonal value because it's under. Well, the light comes from her left. How do we know? Well, we have lit areas here which are very, very bright, so we know that these are the light where it comes from to the portrait. And so you have the light coming here. We will now have a slight tonal value of the eye cavity. So there is a slight tonal value here. And the eyelid is a bit higher, as we said, her left eyelid. And also that is the same case here. So you have a darker tonal value here on this side, on the left-hand side, on her left eye. And on a vertical line, you have a straight line coming down there. Straight line coming down, and that will follow or will touch the chin. So if that was the line there of the nose, on a vertical line, from this point where it starts turning, drop a vertical line and you have the chin. So a vertical line from here and you got the chin here, where it touches where the chin starts turning to the cheek. So that is at that point here. Then you have a wider chin, which is basically this one here. And there's an angle to that, so it's not horizontal, there's an angle. So drop that, come to the jaw, and I'm now, well, exaggerating a little bit, but because that what I'm trying to do here is that we have an angle here of the hair, so that's kind of frames the face. So that angle here it's about 30-degree angle. It's almost parallel, at least from the cheek to the lip to the hair there. So if I got that angle here, I can now bring these two angles parallel to each other. There we are. Okay. And kind of the hair is a continuation of the jaw. So if I've got the jaw here, I can continue with the hair down here. Okay. All right. Now, I've got the basics. What I'm trying to do now is to come up and commit myself with a little bit of more with charcoal, basically, because so far it's been with the brush. Okay, let's see with the charcoal. So I've got now the basics there. So we said we've got the nose here. The nostril. A vertical line from the tear duct. That's where the nostril should be. The end of the nostril there, or the beginning of the nostril. That's the angle of the nose, which I've gone a little bit too quick to decide to bring it up, but it is slightly, there's an upwards movement of the nose there. Then we have the lower lip. We've set chin to the lower lip. It's from the lower lip to the beginning of the nose, almost the middle. Actually, it's not the middle. Middle is here on the bottom lip, on the fleshy part of the bottom lip. It's there. That's where the middle is. So from here to there, this is where the middle is, and that's the fleshy part of the upper lip, lower lip. And you have the upper lip of an angle moving up like that. Then the lower lip here. It's got a movement of the mouth. You got the teeth, which is almost in the middle of her nose. If you move up the vertical line, so that's where the teeth ends or begins, two front teeth. And you got the back teeth here. Then that's a turn of her flesh tone here. I can come and do a little bit of a shadow here. Just be a little bit more precise, be a bit more committed with dark lines and shadows. Funny, because I've started from the nose. I normally always start from the eyes, but let's go back to the eyes now. So here I'm on to that point, which is basically right under the nose, is that dark point here. Here, I see those two lines almost parallel, this and that. Then you have the tip of the nose moving up. Then the eye, we've said the eyebrow, this is higher than this one, slightly higher on a vertical line, horizontal line. And you have the eyebrow here. And tear duct. Okay, funny, because that's that aligns on a vertical line, aligns to, so the tear duct of her left eye aligns to almost the end of the lip. So the tear duct of her left eye aligns to the end of the lip here. And then the eye moves up, follows that pattern. These two lines, eyelid and eyebrow, they align. She's looking up. So the pupil is up here. You got the eyelid upwards. Then you have the hair. Do you remember we said the forehead moves slightly to the left? It's not a straight, it's not a vertical line. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, it's not a vertical line. It's slightly bended inwards. Okay. Here we have the forehead hairline, but it's hard to see the hairline. She's blonde. So it's very vague. Here you have, I'm framing the forehead, and we have a slight middle tone here, a soft tonal value, which is basically that here, flesh tone. It's almost like the eyebrows connect to each other, but it's the shadow. It's an impression of that. It's not. They're not really. It feels a connection through the shadow. Okay. And let's end up with this. Finish this eye, the lower part of the eye, which is on the vertical line, it just goes outside, so it's here. It's the lower part of the eye, and here's the eye tear duct, and let's get that softly, and move it there. And this hairline is very soft. We said she's blonde, so not too dark with the hair. Softer tonal value there. And let's be a little bit more precise with the pupil. I want her to look up. I don't want to miss anything here, and give that would be a study of the head. So that will be a long haul of that portrait. So be patient. We'll get there with time. You have that darker tonal value here, which is where the hair starts here, that hair defines the lower eyelid. There we have the cheek. Upper lip. And the upper lip, I've treated it very mechanically, geometrically at the beginning. It was a very straight line. But now that I'm being more observant, I can see that the upper lip, there's a wave which comes here, up. There's a turn end of the lip, then it dips down, then it goes up again. So it's this one here. Dips down, end of the lip, dips down, and then goes up again. And a soft tonal value. Okay, soft tonal value here, and the lower lip. It's fleshier than that. And here we've got a tonal value, a dark tonal value here under the lower lip, and that is a darker tonal value like that. Now, what I see, because you develop a tunnel vision after a while, what I see is that that is decreased in size. So from the lower lip to the chin, it feels like it's a short distance to me. So let's go back and fix this and check it. What's gone wrong here? Okay, we've got on a regular face, the proportions are hairline, and she does seem to have a very regular face. Hairline to the eyebrow, it's the same as the eyebrow at the end of the nose. End of the nose to the chin, there are 3 equal parts. So let's check on this face here. Do we have that? Eyebrow to the hairline, hairline to the eyebrow, eyebrow to the end of the nose. Not exactly, it's there. And then end of the nose to the chin. It's almost 3 equal parts. So on me should be the same here. So hairline to the eyebrow, eyebrow to the end of the nose to the chin. Okay, that's correct. So why it feels short? Okay, maybe I need to come and lower the chin a little bit. Okay, now it makes more sense. Okay, there. There. And not forget the angle of the jaw, which is, say, on a right angle, vertical, horizontal. Here we have 45 degrees. 45 degrees. This is 30, about 30 degrees on a right angle. Okay, right angle. Here. That's about 30 degrees. So let's do that. 30 degree angle line here. Okay, and the chin coming down like this. Now let's work on the eye. On the other eye, on her right eye. And as we said earlier, because she was tilted, keep an eye on that, because this is extremely important. When we do faces which are tilted, when you tilt, you turn your head upwards because you're looking sideways, which she's doing. The features, they move. They don't move, but they move because of the tilt of the head. And look again now. The eyelid of her right eye is lower than the eyelid of the left eye. So let's work on the eyelid here and decide where to finally put it. Here. So let's say we decide to put it there. Eyelid on a horizontal line. This eyelid almost is on a horizontal line to the eyebrow. Almost it touches the eyebrow. Yep, that's the case with me. Horizontal line, and the eyebrow is higher than the eyelid. Okay. Let's reinforce that. That's the eyebrow, and a horizontal line from the eyelid goes here. And now we've said the eyelid of, so if that goes there, which is under the eyebrow, then the eyelid of the right eye is right here. She's looking up again. Then you have the tear duct. Vertical line touches the end of the nose. So vertical line there. Okay. Here. And we have the tear duct. Then we have the lower eyelid there, and the eye, the iris, which moves slightly upwards. There we have it. And then we have a big eye here. She's looking up. We have more white of the eye revealed because she's looking up. And you have the tear duct. And then that's the shadow that I'm doing here. There. Here we are. Okay. Okay, so far so good. Now that's a big portrait, so it will take time. It's larger than life size. Is it larger than? Yeah, it is a little bit larger than life size. So it will take longer than I participated or I wanted to. Then we have the hair here. I'm using the charcoal sideways. So I go quicker, faster to cover the whole darker tone of the hair. Okay. All right, now we have here the neck, which is, where do we define the neck? Because the neck could be, I mean, it shouldn't be there. It doesn't make sense to be there. So, but it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here, or it's here. So the neck is on an imaginary line. We can see where the skull ends. So the skull is here, her skull. Jaw, ear, which we don't see, the skull continues there. And this is where the neck is. So the imaginary line of the skull, which continues there, that's where the neck ends. So skull. That's where the neck is, there. Okay, so the imaginary skull of any person, there. Here we will have to have the ear on that line. Now, why upwards? Because she's slightly looking down, but the head, she's looking low. She's looking on her left, but her head is moving slightly down. As it is moving down, I am tempted to move the ear somewhere here. But we don't see the ear, so I don't want to get too detailed with things which we don't see. Could be here. No, because then the skull becomes too large, too high up. So the ear has to move a little bit further up. There you have it. But we don't see it, so let's not guess too much. There. And hair, all here, and a little bit of a shadow, middle tone here, which will give us the turn of the head and the movement of the head, the volume of the face here, which is that middle tone of her cheek. Here. Bit of a darker tonal value. And I'm talking about right here, all this middle tone. Oops. It's going to take some darks from here, from the hair, but I ended up moving the whole dark that I've done earlier on. So some darks here. Here. there, middle tone here on the forehead, and the nose, cut it here, because I can see there is a slight distance from the end of the nose to the chin, to the cheek, sorry. So I'm moving that inwards. Come and do a little bit of background here, soften that dark line. And let's work and be a little bit more precise with the eye here, because one eye is not, it's moving too high and the other one is actually low. So let's move that up as well to match where she's looking with the left eye. There. There. Okay. Okay, and let's go back and have a little middle tone of the nose. This is that middle tone shadow, or actually it's not even a middle tone, it's a light tone. Then you have the cast shadow. Now, why I'm doing this, it's because the distance from the end of the nose to the upper lip looks long to me. But that looks long because here we have a shadow, we have a cast shadow, to be precise. So this cast shadow will immediately decrease the distance from the upper lip and the nose, end of the nose. Then you have the nostril, slight tone of value adjustment. You have an angle of, see, you can see it here, that it's not rounded, it's an angle there. Keep that in mind. And a soft tone of value here. There. Then you have a light tone of a middle tone actually here, which is this one there. And that is, do you remember that initial triangular shape that we had at the beginning? Here we have it in more detail version, which is basically these middle tones, and then darker tone of value of the lower eyelid, and then you have that angular shape of the eye. Look at that. So these are things that you can, the way that I'm introducing them and working and talking about them, that should make us all, me included, more vigilant with these subtle changes. So you see, if you don't see that, you will think that it's rounded, or it's oval, or it's semicircle, but it's not. Well, it goes up to here, then it stops and it becomes a straight line. So there is a semicircle line, if you like, and then it becomes a straight line. It's not a straight line as such, but it's the shadow of that creates that line there. And then we have white of the eye, which I now need to bring it back with the white of the eye here, and a reflected light of the eye, which is very, very weak there, but I'm deliberately highlighting it. Now, why I'm highlighting it? Because it makes it, well, it creates a certain look, and also the direction of the look, and also it creates that she's engaged basically with what she's seeing. She's not somewhere, well, on my version of things. So I'm zooming in on the eye and making that highlight on purpose a little bit lighter than what it actually is, and also looks better, if you like. Some of you might not agree with that, but it's a version of it. We don't have to keep it like this. We'll go, as we go along, we will decide if we leave it like that or we change it again. And up here, these are very, very subtle changes. You see that highlight on the eyebrow? There. So bring it back, because it's not as sharp as that. It's actually, it was not as dark as what I've done at the beginning when I introduced the shadows, the middle tones. Now here, my finger. Now this is on canvas, by the way. I'm working on canvas because I want to make a picture out of it. I mean a colored portrait. And bring that strand of hair here. There. Now that obviously makes her look much older, because I've emphasized the lower eyelid, but of course I know that makes her looks older, but for the time being I'll leave it there as it is, and I'm more focused now on looking and working with big forms, which is basically all that dark tonal value under the eyebrow, which I need to get here going of charcoal dust, because I want to do it with charcoal dust. Then you have the brush. That makes it worse, actually. The brush takes a lot of charcoal dust away. Okay, I'll do it with my fingers, actually. Keep that. Take the charcoal dust and push it down here. It's a bit more effective. Let's move the eye. This eye looks more to that side, and this one looks more here. So they're not looking at exactly the same direction. And that's something that it's could easily go wrong. So let's bring the eye. The eye, it's an oval shape. It's a sphere there, which is actually taking, and it's moving. It's a spherical shape, which is within the spherical of the eyeball. If the eyeball is here, the iris, it's part of that eyeball, and that moves as the eyeball moves left, right, or starts rolling in different directions. So the little sphere of the eye, of the iris, is part of a bigger, much bigger spherical shape of the eyeball itself. And you have shadows here, a darker tonal value there. Now we have some hair, which is that strand of hair coming here. It's very, very soft, obviously, but it's not easy to make that. It needs an extremely soft touch on the canvas, so I'll take it off later on with the brush. As you saw, the brush just brushes things off. The brush brushes things off. So I'll take that and work it with the brush later on. Now, as I see here, I have a little detail which I can now align, which is a vertical line goes from the eye right at the edge of the mouth. So if that's the end of the iris, there. So that means that my mouth, it's a bit longer, wider than what it is on the original picture. So let's do it again. Vertical line, drop it down, 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 down. Goes right there. It's almost at the end. So if I take that here, keep it down, down, down. Okay, there's a mistake here on me. Now I saw it. All right, now I'll explain. These are very subtle details which they make a huge difference at the end. Now, that vertical line, as it moves down, it moves here. Now I'm taking the end of the edge of my tablet with my fingers here, and I'm adjusting the length, the width, with my fingers, moving my fingers inwards, outwards, inwards, outwards. So I'm adjusting now. I can come here, I can come here, I can come here, and do those vertical lines. Comparing, or sorry, not comparing, but taking as a reference the vertical line of the canvas. So I'm adjusting now. So here, a vertical line, tap, 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 tap. There's a lot of distance between the end of the nose. So to my eye here, this is very, very close. So there are two things which are going wrong. Either the nose is too wide, which it is, or that eye could go a little bit more to the left. But I think most likely, and by the looks of it, the nose a bit wide. So I'll cut the nose here, a little bit there, and here. So the nostril, I'm cutting the nostril here, I'm bringing it there. And that will, and also I can see now by adjusting this thing, I can see that this line, which is parallel to that line, this one to that one, it's wider here than it is on me. So if I move the nose and make it smaller, which I'm making it now, I'm also increasing that distance, this line with that line. And that is more in line with what I see here. Okay, but that makes the nose much smaller. Okay, well, I'll leave it for the time being. And move also the eye a little bit more on the outside. There. So now the distance, or that vertical line, it's longer, it's more distant from the end of the nose. But still, the mouth is still there. So in the mouth, I need to trim the mouth, at least the edge of the mouth, and then move it there. And give it a darker tonal value of the teeth. There. And front teeth. There's you see, that looks goofy. Never put lines on the teeth. They might look that there is a line there, but it's extremely vague. It's almost not there. I've done it for us to see that, look, looks goofy. Looks like she's got rotten teeth. So we don't do that. You leave it there. And it's understood that you have a line there. Now, at the end of the other teeth, it's vertically, it's there. And that will suggest me and define the beginning of the lower lip, which is there. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, the fleshiness of the lower lip is here. So that is dark. Moves down a little bit. There. And a little bit of shadow here. Darker tonal value of the lower lip there. But there is more definition because I've darkened the whole thing. So there is more definition here, which is basically there. And chin, more of a rounded form of the chin. And then you have here color that she's wearing. That's all dark, 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 dark. And a triangle shape, which is darker than the skin tone anyway. And a darker tonal value of the face and the cheek and the jaw and the chin, everything there. take some dust with my finger, spread it, use the other finger which is not dirty as a putty rubber, and then you have that. Then that lighter or darker line up, move the iris up. I've lost the shiny light that I had on the eye, but it's fine because we're trying to do the right thing there and get things in proportion. So we'll sacrifice the beauty for accuracy. Okay, then you have another line here which is horizontally, just goes what the end of the hair. Look how I get things right. Well, sometimes you have a horizontal line here, goes right where the end of the hair is. So horizontally, there. So that's the end or the beginning of the hair or the end of the hair of her hair. And then you have here. And let's take the picture a little bit further back so I can see the whole image. I've gone too far back here, but I can rectify that. It's not a problem. As in, that's too high up. It's more angular and the hair comes more forward like this. And of course, there is a hairline which it's here in the middle, which is that one there, and also she's wider there, which is that part of her hair there. Okay, slowly we'll get the likeness before we move to the colored version. Okay, here, darker tone. See, crazy. The brush becomes a putty rubber. Don't want to take things off, but the brush just takes things off. It just absorbs. Anyway, I can use that to my advantage, which is basically instead of using my finger and putty rubber, I can use now the brush, which is doing the work or the job of the putty rubber, which is not too bad. You see, I'm softening all these because there's not a defined shadow. It's all softy. And that turn is beautiful. That turn here, look, there. It's basically more of like this. And that becomes much smaller, which is basically the case. So the width of the eye here, it's much smaller than this eye, and that's the case. That's not because it's smaller, it's because of the turn of her head towards her left. So it's like almost 3/4. Well, actually it is 3/4. So this, from the ridge of the nose to the end of the eye, is tear duct there. It's like 3/4 of the eye. So ridge of the nose, end of the eye, 3/4, pretty much where it should be. A little bit of tear duct work, get that highlight there. Soften this, because this, it's not a feature of an old age. It's a slight shade that the eyes of every person do have. Even at a young age, we all have that. So that is a soft turn, almost colored part of the, because it's very, very thin skin, and that's full of capillaries. So that's the why it is as dark as that, or it comes across as dark. It's because of the capillaries of the blood vessels there. Now I can come a little bit closer with a shadow here. No. That was, you see, it worked as a putty rubber. Actually, I need to bring that soft tonal value there. Okay. Now, what I'm missing now, geometrically it's fine. Well, actually it's not even fine geometrically, because that eye is much larger, but also it might be correct in angular shape, in width, but it's not giving me the accuracy. It's the sweetness of the eye here, which is, I'm not getting it. So that, a little bit of shadow, so very extremely soft shadows here, there, and bigger eye. It looks bigger just because of the end of the eye, and that turn of the eye here, which that makes the eye a lot bigger, looking a lot bigger. Now with the putty rubber, I need to work on the eye. I shouldn't do it this way, but I'm doing it for the purpose of us to look at what I'm actually looking for here. What I should do, I should keep it like this, because I should compare constantly where this eye is looking, where that eye is looking, and also I can see better, I can judge better where I'm shaping now, as I'm shaping the eye, where I should put the emphasis on the white. So, but then for us to see what I'm doing, I'm just zooming in here and making that white of the eye a little bit bigger and bringing back that shiny bit of the pupil there. So normally I would have done it this way, just looking on both eyes. Every time you move or you take away any shape, any light, any middle tone, any movement of your finger, of your putty rubber, of your charcoal, needs to be compared to what is closest. And obviously the closest here is the other eye, which they need to be matched perfectly. So we do have the same movement of the eye, and we're looking, and she's looking at the same direction on both eyes, and we don't have a contradiction in direction of the look where she's looking actively, okay, or actually, okay. Then have a vertical line of the eyebrow. There is a distance between the vertical line of the eyebrow from the eyebrow to the forehead. There's a distance for either cheekbone. So we have the cheekbone here, and I have a little bit of that highlight. That's a key element here. I cannot miss that. You shouldn't, because that shapes up her particular skull. Every person's got a very unique skull, so she does have that quite pronounced, the eyebrows quite high up there, and they're basically popping up in a way that it's like her nose, it's pointed. So the eyebrows are the same here, and also, of course, I need to lose that dark under her eyebrow. It's not actually working with my fingers, so I better use the putty rubber, and then not to lose the eyebrow here. Get that line, get that shape, get that work here with the hair. Very soft strands of blonde hair. Now here I need to bring that forehead a little bit further out. Get a vertical line here and then move the eyebrow down. Do you remember we said that beautiful turn of the eyebrow connected to the nose? So this one here, there, and reach of the nose reach there. Okay, and so if I'm trying to make it a little bit clearer how we should see things, or the artist should see, and all of us, here we have the highest light, or the lightest light is that line here. But then you have a lighter tone, which is not as bright as the actual line of the light here, but it's still there, which is the nose itself. But then everything else, it's a very, very soft, almost non-existent tonal value. But it is there, you cannot ignore it. So we better put it on there, because that creates a more clearer distinction or definition of where the light is, middle tone, and you see that's also darker than the highlight of the nose, because the nose pops out of the head, so it catches more light. Here also we have a very, very sorry about that. We have a very soft middle tone. And that is all around the nose. And it comes right down to her upper lip. And with a darker tonal value all around here. Okay, now. And now that I've gone, see, that's why it's important to go back and not zoom in. I'm zooming in for the purpose of being more detailed here, where I'm looking and what we need to focus on, but also to when you gain more experience with the portraits, is that you should see the portrait and you should work with the portrait when it's all in view, everything is there, so I can see every corner of the portrait. Because now that I've gone back, I was here, we were here. See, I was concentrating for this, but actually that's, as I said, for illustration purposes. Now that I'm going back, I can see now that this, in the grand scheme of things, it's a very, very, very tiny and delicate part of her head. But here it's huge on me compared to that. So let's go back and redraw all things that we've done here. Now I don't want to lose those initial lines. Do you remember that? Tear duct, down, 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 down. Again, always take as a reference the tablet. Down, 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 down. And it's there at the end of the lip. So tear duct, down, 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 down. There. I'm taking as a reference. Can you see it? No, let me turn the camera. There. So I'm taking as a reference now. I'm taking the canvas. So vertical line, vertical line, vertical line. There. This is where the mouth, the end of the mouth is. And bring the cheek, the line of the cheek, there, there, and here. And now we have the lip, which is turned upwards. She's biting her lip. Biting her lip. Okay, now that is turned. You have a much fleshier lower lip here, and here I do have a light coming from the left hand side, and that defines the chin. That makes the chin a lot smaller there. Okay, and as I said, on the grand scheme of things, I can see that the chin is much smaller. So I'm now much more aware, now that I'm going back to the big picture, and see now that I can now get my jaw higher, or lighten up this area, which is actually the whole side of her jaw, and also bring that jaw high, because she's very young, 15, 17, something like that. So you have that very small jaw on that. There. Or it's not small. Actually, it's because of her positioning of the head, it looks shorter or smaller, but if she was, we can see we are standing slightly higher than the girl, because we can see the top of the head. If we're at horizontal line, we could not see the top of of her head. So that means, because we're seeing the top of the head, that means that the jaw comes across as smaller. Now that I'm doing that, I can see on the grand scheme of things, I'm too far from the neck. That means that I have to adjust my neck here. There you are. See? This is why it's important, maybe not as thin as that, but somewhere in the middle. Okay. Okay, now get that collar that she's wearing. That goes right under her chin. There, that defines very much so the jaw and the chin. And also we have a beautiful soft shadow here, not to miss that, because that also defines the cast shadow of the head on the neck and the neck here. And we have all these what she's wearing, all that leather collar, maybe, I don't know, could be, and a softer tonal value here. Okay, all right. Now I'm a little bit bored now, in the sense that, okay, we've got the geometry of it. Now let's be even more going after the likeness. And I've just noticed that eyebrow is quite high there. So getting bored, I mean, I'm not getting bored, I'm just moving away because I'm a bit tired with all these measurements. So what I'm actually just noticed, as I said, you have a little bit of a tonal value on the forehead, and then bring that eyebrow lower. I said lower, but I've got rid of it completely, okay? Because of the brush. Brush is just too intense. And I should have taken care about not using it so carelessly. And bring the eyebrow there. That's more in line with what we see there. Okay, and the eyebrow here, I think I have a lot more distance than what I see here. So the eyebrow ends up right in the middle of both teeth. Look, zoom in just for illustration purposes. You could just go a vertical line. Take that as a reference. Down, right in the middle of the teeth. That's where the middle of the teeth is. So if I go up, the eyebrow is here. It's much closer, and it bends downwards. Oh, not this. Okay, not this elongate and not as far to the right as it is here, but it's roughly there. And again, I shouldn't zoom in, but it's for us to learn how to and what to see and what to put more attention and where not to put more attention. Is that I have a key element here, key or an anchor. And another word for key element, it's an anchor. I have an anchor here of all these archipelago. If that was a map, this is a crucial point with this, together with this. Well, there are quite a few, this, that, but this is a major one. See, that's vertical to the tear duct. So that's my anchor here. Move it down or darken it, and that on a vertical line aligns with the tear duct. And then you have the dark line there. Now, you see, that's a double-edged sword because we've done it correctly, but then on the grand scheme of things, going back to the big head, full head, on a horizontal line, that is right horizontally to the pupil of the other eye. So if the pupil is here, okay, that's correct. That was accidentally correct because I focused too much on that. but it does feel correct at the moment. So the eyelid or the horizontal line goes right, touches the pupil here. There, and it's looking up. There. Okay, now she's got green eyes, which translates on black and white clearer eyes than what I actually have here. So there, getting inside of the iris and doing that clear, and then pupil inside the iris, making it clearer than what it is. There, pupil, and then the white of the eye here. And then another anchor is that brightness of the tip of the nose, which is right here. Then cheek, and another anchor here on that archipelago here is this crucial major point, like a big port with a ship's anchor here. This is all our attention, all our ships, all our attention, all our focus would that makes it or breaks it. This there are few points, but this is a crucial one, because she's biting her lip, and that bite also creates that tip there, which is not usual. If she wasn't biting the lip, that wouldn't be there as pronounced as it is. Okay, well, or I'm exaggerating now because it could be, but I'm just exaggerating just to make a point that we cannot miss that. This one, so it's a light anchor point. So on a vertical line that goes to the tear duct. There, tear duct down, tear duct down. There, and bring this one there, here, and that highlight. So these, now I don't have to measure everything, but I can see now you have a crucial point, which is the lip, and then you have a light point on the lip, light point on the lower lip, upper lip, lower lip, which is further back. So if I have that here, that's somewhere here. And that's safe to say that is correct, because you can see the difference. You can see now the two on the grand scheme of things. You can see, or you can measure. That's why it's important to have both at the same angle and the same close, or close to images, but also full image. And that makes the chin. Make the chin a little bit smaller. Bring the chin a little bit more to the left, make the chin more delicate, smaller. Here we are. And also we want to show the age of the girl, because I've done her quite a bit older. So now that I've gone back, you see, that's why, again, I repeat it many times. Now that I've gone back and zoomed out, I can see that this eyebrow is quite high on me. And I've missed that, which I've said earlier on. This is more of a bend here, like this. There. That's a characteristic of that particular girl. So you have that eyebrow, which is moved down there, and top of the eyebrow there. So keep in mind when you draw that. These are subtle, very, very subtle changes, but they are crucial on the likeness of the person. Otherwise, we will not achieve. Say that that was commissioned. If I don't see those subtle changes, and you don't see those subtle changes, then it doesn't look like her. If we call her, let's say, I don't know, Claire, it's not Claire. What's her name? Hannah. Okay, could be Hannah. I don't know if that's her name, but if we call her Hannah, then, and we don't do those changes, those little important highlights that she's got on the eyebrow, on the eye, and the cheek, then it's not Hannah. Okay, this. Okay, now. And then we have that big rounded earring that she's got here. And 3 different metal. It looks to me metal, but I don't know. I might be wrong. Another crucial point here is that another anchor that we have to keep an eye on is that is where her flesh stone, where you have the dress converging and you have that triangular shape here, Where is that on a horizontal scale line? It's right above the chin. Above the chin, I'm going ta 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 ta, and that is there. And of course, it's under the line of the neck, so I can get the neck and then bring that triangular shape here. There we are. Okay, now bring back a little bit more of that highlight. If you zoom in, look at this. It's an undefined shape, but we know that it's quite light. So it's a highlight here on the cheek, and something got me on the putty rubber, and get that beautiful highlight here there that defines the chin and the cheek. Sorry, the chin. I said cheek. Yeah, I'm not thinking properly. It's late. It's a lot easier to work at late at night because there's no noise coming from anyone except Milo and the cats. Okay, here we have strands of hair. It doesn't have to be a particular, every hair needs to be counted because that's wrong. We've said that many times. Strands of hair, not individual hair. Okay. All right. Okay. Now the dividing hair here, and a little bit lighter. Okay. I think I've done her older than what she is, and I'm aware of that. So I need to work more on that. But this will be part 1, because that's quite a large portrait, and we will do it together. We'll work together on that step by step. So that was part 1. I'll upload it, and to be continued part 2, and maybe more parts to come. And some highlight here on the chin here. There. A little bit softer lines. And yes, I've just noticed why she looks a little bit older, because here I've gone with a very dark line on the eyelid. Get that line off, and it's a faint line there. And I can come and do a little bit of darker tonal value under the lower eyelid here. Oh, the brush is completely useless. It's not giving me any darks, which I'm relying on. And it's a bit annoying because, no, that's pencil. No. Annoying because it's supposed that the brush will absorb some powder and or dust, and will just spread it there, but it's not the case. So a little bit there, and then that lower eyelid, pupil, iris, but then it's not a line, it just blends inside. Okay, and now the eyelid going upwards. Then you have the hair here, which defines the eye. And I've just noticed something which I didn't do earlier on. It's basically that line, which is the hair, there's an angle to it. It's about 10 degrees. I've gone straight here. That's a mistake. See, these are things that I didn't focus enough. Obviously, talking, all that, you lose a little bit of attention. But yeah, these are the things which, again, make it or break the portrait. Make it look like her or not look like her. There. Okay, now, I think I should leave it for the time being, upload this, and we get to that, all of us together, tomorrow, Tuesday. And when you've done, or you've come as far as I've come here, then we go with more shadows, or stronger shadows, darker tonal values, until we perfect the likeness of Hannah, if that's her name. These are little things that I'm just adjusting now as I'm looking throughout the portrait, and highlight on the nose, highlight on the chin there. Again, she looks older on me. It's because of those harsh lines. And soften those lines with my rubber, which is the brush, and actually is working like a rubber. Okay, I'll leave it. Okay, see you on the next one. Let me zoom in so you can see more of how it has come up so far. All right, see you next week. Well, to be continued, basically. Before I stop recording, is that I should get all those dark tones merged. No, that was not what I wanted to do, but anyway. Oh, that's a pencil. Charcoal. Water charcoal, no good. Get another charcoal here. Okay, that works better. So middle tone. There. Darker tone values. Okay. All right. See you on the next one. Adios.